Welcome back to my YouTube channel, friends and family. As you know, I'm a diabetic and I have been posting some of the recipes that I truly like that are what I would consider a low-carb meal. Today is no exception. I'm going to do a video on tomato bisque. I will show you on the screen now the actual nutritional information. Now, it's not all the nutritional information. This is just the carbs and the net carbs. I don't have to worry about fat. I don't have a cholesterol problem or anything like that. But my sugar readings can go sky high very easily. The doctors had told me to try to keep that between 40 and 60. And as you can see, I'm well below the 40 on this meal. Okay, here's my ingredients for my tomato bisque. I'm proud to say that the cutting celery came from the back porch in a pot. Carrots bought. Of course, these two are bought, but I have bacon and butter. I have a sweet onion, 4 cloves of garlic. I did raise the parsley and I did raise the thyme. And if you've never raised your herbs in a pot, you need to give it a try. I'll never plant mine in the ground again. Of course, I didn't raise the bay leaf, but I'm gonna need a bay leaf. We're going to use some cornstarch, and it's good to use homemade stuff. Now, normally I use chicken broth, but as you can see, this is turkey broth from last year's turkey. I took the carcass and made a homemade broth with it, and I canned it. Okay, we're going to need some salt, so I'm going to use the fine ground Himalayan salt. We're going to need heavy cream, so I have that here. And this might look like a lot of tomatoes, but if you look in there, you can see there is air pockets. I'm hoping that once I get all of that ground down, it's 8 cups now, that I'll still end up with about 4 cups of tomatoes. I've chopped my bacon into very small pieces, and this is ready to go into the pot. And I will be putting it in the pot on the stove on a high temperature to get it started. I will also be adding at the same time, this is unsalted butter, and I'm going to be adding 4 tablespoons or 1/4 cup. Listen to the sizzle there. My butter and my bacon, they are on a medium-high heat. I know it's a very large pot, but I've got company coming. Let's make enough for everybody. As you can see, I've got some nice browning in the bottom of the pan. I did add 2 tablespoons of light olive oil in there to keep it from burning. Butter can burn easily. And I do believe that, yes, these bacon pieces are ready to come out and go on a plate covered with a paper towel. On to the next step. This is our bacon crumbles. This is what we're going to top our soup with when we're done. And as you can see, there's lots of nice browning in the pot, and that's only going to add flavor. Our next step is to add our chopped onions. I have chopped the carrot. I have peeled the garlic. I'm not going to chop it. It will go through the garlic press. And of course, I have my celery here, and this, as I said, is sprouting celery, but it's about the equivalent of 1 stalk of celery. I will say, though, because it is a lot of leaves, it's far more fragrant than a stalk of celery would be. I now have my onions, carrots, and chopped up celery in the pot. I'm going to cook this on a medium heat until the onions and carrots start getting tender. Once that's done, I'll add the garlic. I don't want to add the garlic right now because garlic can burn. Okay, my alarm's going off. Let me turn that off. It's time now to turn this down. I've got it turned down to a low setting, and it's time for me to press the garlic into the pot. And I did have to keep it stirred a lot just to keep it from sticking. Okay, there's the first 2 cloves. Now it's going to get very, very fragrant. Let's add the last 2 cloves to the garlic press and press those in. And that, oh, the aroma now. And we'll give it about 1 to 2 minutes just to allow the garlic to blend in with those other vegetables. And I know it looks like it's burning, but it's not. And trust me, that brown that you're seeing on that bottom of that pot is going to add a ton of flavor to this bisque. Okay, I have stirred that on the low heat for about 2 minutes. That was just to give the garlic time to blend in with the other flavorings. I have chopped my parsley and I've pulled the leaves off, and as you can see, that's about 1 tablespoon. It's time now to add these to the pot. Just for reference, I wanted you to see that the chopped parsley, if it was packed down in there, is just about a teaspoon. But now remember, this is fresh parsley that I just picked from the garden. If you're using dried herbs, make sure to look up the equivalent between dry and green herbs. Okay, I've now added my 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. I need to mix this in with the vegetables so it will thicken my broth. I'm going to pull up there on the side. Let's get all of that goodness down in there. So now I'm going to need to cook this for about 3 minutes, stirring it constantly to make sure that my cornstarch doesn't come out with a cornstarch taste. Cooking it will give it time to blend in with the other vegetables. Okay, I've cut my tomatoes up, and as you can see, that's about 4 cups. If you're using, say, tomato puree because you don't have fresh tomatoes, just make sure that you get enough to have 4 cups. And that is a full quart of turkey broth. But you can buy store-bought chicken broth, and now they've even come out with store-bought bone broth with chicken. And this is actually a bone broth because I cooked the entire carcass of the turkey when I was making it. Okay, my bisque has come to a boil. It's time for me to put the bay leaf in. I'm going to turn this down to low so that it simmers now, and I'm going to put the lid on it and let it simmer for 30 minutes. One word of caution, make sure you stir this good before you put that lid on it, because remember, there was a lot of browning on that pot. We want to make sure that we use this broth to actually remove that from the bottom. I will be using an emulsifier in this to make everything pureed, but of course I'll fish out that bay leaf before I do that. Even though I've gotten my stove set to the lowest setting, this is still trying to stick a little bit, so I suggest that about every 2 to 3 minutes you stir this. And we've still got 21 minutes to go. But it's really beginning to thicken up good, so I'm very, very pleased with it, if you can see it for that steam. Okay, my bisque is through cooking. It's time now to puree it. I've taken the basil out. I'm just using the magnifier here. I want everything finely chopped. See that when I'm done. Now I'm going to add my salt. I'm going to start with a full teaspoon, and then we will salt it at the table. And I know in the original ingredients I didn't include the black pepper, but you put the salt and the black pepper in there to suit your taste. The next thing we need to add is 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. And this is really going to thicken it up even more for us. It's nice and creamy. All right, there's my tomato bisque in the bowl. And I have company coming, and we will eat most of this. There may be a little left, so I put it in this bowl because this Pyrex bowl has a lid so I can store any leftovers in the refrigerator for up to a day and just simply heat it up for lunch tomorrow. Here's what my bisque looks like after I have doctored it. I like to top it with the bacon crumbs that, if you'll remember, if you were watching the recipe, I started by chopping finely some bacon and browning it. I like to use that to top it, and you can always add green onions or chopped chives. I love chopped chives. And one of the things I like to go with my soup is a grilled cheese. And you know when that cheese strings like that, and that's cheddar cheese, you're in for a delight. It's time for me to sit down here and taste this for you guys. I know it's an awful job, but somebody has to do it. I guess I should also let you guys know there's hardly any carbs in this grilled cheese. That is Ezekiel bread and cheddar cheese. Let's start that all over. The cheddar cheese has less than 1 gram of carbs in it. And of course, there wouldn't be much of any fiber either. But the Ezekiel bread, the net carbs in it is very low. So I'm still well under what I'd like to be. Let's move this aside and let's go ahead and taste this bisque for you guys. Like I said, it's an awful job, but somebody has to do the tasting. Guys, I wish I could just reach through the camera and hand you out a taste. This is why I call it comfort food. On a cold evening or during the day, whether it's rainy, snowy, somehow there's nothing that seems to fit on a cold rainy day, there's just nothing better than having a nice warm soup. It just warms you down to your core. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you'll share my video with others. And if you've not already clicked the subscribe icon, please do so. Again, we appreciate each and every one of you. And there is, on my channel, a low-carb playlist. So just go to my channel and you should see the playlist entitled Low Carb Recipes. All right. Thank you guys, and I hope every one of you have a truly blessed rest of the week.